Between February 5th and February 11th, 2010, the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast corridors of the United States maintained standard winter operations. The federal government employed approximately 2.7 million workers in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Urban transit systems in Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York moved millions of daily commuters. Interstate 95 functioned as the primary commercial and passenger route connecting major population centers from Virginia to Massachusetts. Municipal snow removal budgets anticipated seasonal snowfall consistent with historical averages of 15 to 20 inches per winter. The National Weather Service operated with 72-hour forecasting capabilities. Infrastructure systems assumed recovery periods of 24 to 48 hours between winter weather events would permit restoration of transportation networks and government functions. The Mid-Atlantic corridor in early February consists of densely populated urban zones. Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York form a continuous metropolitan region housing approximately 50 million people. Federal government operations require daily workforce presence at agencies, departments, and military installations. Commuter rail systems transport 1.5 million passengers daily. Interstate highways carry freight tonnage exceeding 500,000 tons per day. Reagan National Airport, BWI Airport, and Philadelphia International Airport process combined passenger traffic of 150,000 daily. Municipal snow removal fleets maintain equipment calibrated to average storm accumulations of 4 to 8 inches. Electric grid infrastructure serves residential heating demand peaking during winter months. Schools operate on schedules assuming occasional weather delays but not prolonged closure. Economic activity depends on physical workforce presence and surface transportation continuity.
On February 4, 2010, meteorological conditions developed favorable for significant snow. An upper-level trough moved across the central United States, while moisture from the Atlantic Ocean encountered cold Arctic air positioned over the eastern seaboard. A low-pressure system formed off the North Carolina coast on February 5th. The system intensified rapidly, a process meteorologists term coastal cyclogenesis. Atmospheric dynamics created conditions for heavy precipitation bands. Temperature profiles indicated snow rather than rain across the Mid-Atlantic region. The National Weather Service issued blizzard warnings for Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and surrounding areas on February 5th. Forecast models predicted accumulations of 20 to 30 inches with wind gusts exceeding 40 miles per hour. The storm track positioned the heaviest snow bands directly over the most populated corridor. Advance warning provided 24 to 36 hours for preparation.
Snowfall began in Washington, D.C. on the evening of February 5, 2010. Accumulation rates reached 2 to 3 inches per hour during peak periods. Baltimore recorded similar rates beginning February 6th. Philadelphia measured sustained snowfall exceeding 24 hours. Washington, D.C. Dulles International Airport recorded 32.4 inches, the highest single storm total in the airport's history. Reagan National Airport measured 17.8 inches. Baltimore Washington International Airport recorded 25 inches. Philadelphia International Airport measured 28.5 inches. Wind speeds sustained at 25 to 35 miles per hour created blizzard conditions with visibility below 1/4 mile for periods exceeding 6 hours. Snow accumulation covered roadways faster than plows could clear. Interstate 95 became impassable in multiple sections. Side streets in residential areas received no clearing. Drifting snow exceeded 5 feet in exposed locations. The storm continued through February 6th.
Snow removal operations commenced February 7 as precipitation ended. Washington, D.C. deployed 350 snowplows and 200 salt trucks. Maryland activated 2,800 pieces of snow equipment. Virginia utilized 3,000 vehicles for clearing operations. Municipal budgets for salt and labor approached depletion after single storm response. Primary highways received priority clearing. Secondary roads remained snow-covered for 48 to 72 hours. Transit systems operated at reduced capacity or remained closed. Federal government facilities announced closure through February 8th. Schools canceled classes, affecting 1.2 million students across the region. Trash collection suspended. Grocery stores experienced supply delivery interruptions. Cleared snow created massive piles, reducing road width and blocking parking. Equipment operators worked 12 to 16-hour shifts. Recovery progressed slowly due to accumulation volume and limited storage space for removed snow. By February 9th, partial restoration of major routes occurred, but full urban functionality remained unrealized.
On February 9, 2010, a second low-pressure system formed off the Atlantic coast. Meteorological conditions mirrored the previous storm, with moisture convergence and Arctic air interaction. The National Weather Service issued new blizzard warnings for the same geographic area on February 9th. Forecast models predicted an additional 10 to 20 inches of snow arriving February 9th and 10. Snow removal operations suspended as crews prepared for renewed accumulation. Washington, D.C. received 10.8 inches during the second event. Baltimore measured 19.5 inches. Philadelphia recorded 16.5 inches. Combined accumulation from both storms totaled 43.2 inches at Dulles Airport, 37.3 inches at Baltimore-Washington International, and 45 inches in Philadelphia. Roads previously cleared became recovered. Snow piles from the first storm reduced available space for new removal. Equipment maintenance issues emerged from continuous operation. Salt supplies depleted completely in multiple jurisdictions.
Transportation infrastructure experienced complete shutdown. Interstate 95 closed in sections from Virginia to Pennsylvania. Interstate 495, the Capital Beltway, became impassable. Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority suspended all rail and bus service February 10. Maryland Transit Administration ceased operations. SEPTA in Philadelphia operated limited service. Amtrak canceled all Northeast Corridor trains between Washington, D.C. and New York. Reagan National Airport closed February 5 through February 10, canceling over 3,000 flights. Dulles International Airport suspended operations for 4 days. Baltimore-Washington International and Philadelphia International Airports canceled 95% of scheduled flights. Total flight cancellations across the Mid-Atlantic exceeded 10,000. Vehicle abandonment on highways created additional obstacles. Emergency vehicle access remained restricted. Hospitals reported ambulance response delays exceeding 2 hours. Public transit systems recorded 0 revenue service days. Commuter rail accumulated economic losses exceeding $50 million.
The federal government closed all non-essential operations for 4.5 consecutive workdays from February 5th through February 10th. This represented the longest weather-related closure in federal government history. Approximately 230,000 federal employees in the Washington, D.C. area remained unable to report to work. Congressional sessions canceled. Cabinet agencies operated with skeleton emergency staff only. State governments in Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware declared states of emergency. Local government offices closed. Courts suspended proceedings. The United States Postal Service halted mail delivery for 3 days. Emergency services operated at minimal capacity. Police departments recorded response limitations. Fire departments pre-positioned equipment but faced access barriers. Schools remained closed for an entire week, affecting over 2 million students across Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Private sector businesses experienced workforce absence exceeding 80%. Economic productivity losses exceeded $3 billion. The combined blizzards affected approximately 55 million people across 10 states and the District of Columbia. Total fatalities reached 41 deaths. Causes included carbon monoxide poisoning from improper generator use, heart attacks during snow removal, vehicle accidents, and exposure. Injuries exceeded 500, primarily from falls on ice, roof collapses, and snow removal exertion. Over 500,000 customers experienced power outages at peak. Outage duration averaged 48 hours, with some areas remaining without power for 5 days. Economic losses totaled approximately $3 to $5 billion. Retail businesses recorded 0 revenue for 96 hours. Grocery stores reported complete depletion of bread, milk, and water supplies within 12 hours of storm warnings. Approximately 20,000 people required emergency shelter. Roof collapses occurred in 150 commercial and residential structures. The storm produced the highest single-event snow removal costs in regional history, exceeding $70 million for Washington, D.C. alone. Full recovery operations extended from February 11 through February 18th. Washington, D.C. requested federal disaster assistance. Maryland deployed National Guard units with 300 personnel and 50 vehicles. Snow hauling operations transported accumulated snow to designated dump sites. Public Works departments operated 24-hour shifts for 7 consecutive days. Interstate highways achieved full reopening February 13th. Secondary roads required an additional 4 days. Transit systems restored full service February 15th. Airport operations normalized February 12, with residual delays through February 14th.
Schools reopened February 16th after 9 consecutive closure days. Trash collection resumed with 2-week backlogs. Roof structural assessments conducted on 1,000 buildings. Salt shortages required importation from neighboring states and Canada. Combined municipal snow removal costs exceeded $150 million across the affected region. Federal government lost an estimated $100 million in productivity.
The National Weather Service classified the events as 2 distinct nor'easter systems occurring within 72 hours. Official designation became Snowmageddon and Snowcocalypse in media and public reference. The February 5th-6th storm ranked as the largest snowfall in Baltimore's history and second largest in Washington, D.C. history. The combined accumulation set records for seasonal totals, with Washington, D.C. measuring 56.1 inches for winter 2009-2010, exceeding the previous record by 20 inches. Congressional hearings examined federal government closure protocols and economic impacts. The Office of Personnel Management reviewed telework policies. Infrastructure assessments identified limitations in urban snow storage capacity and equipment scaling. The National Weather Service documented forecast accuracy at 36 to 48 hours with high confidence intervals. The event entered meteorological databases as a benchmark for back-to-back blizzard impacts and urban corridor paralysis.